Old Guy Talks is all about creating a kick-ass life for yourself and those that you love. Don't wait, don't hesitate, don't procrastinate. Opt in now. Are live. This is Oris, the official Old Guy, government certified because he has a Medicare card at oldguytalks.com, where I help older guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love, and the creator. And I love using that word, creator, of My Junk Does Not Work, where I help older guys and sometimes younger guys, you'd be surprised how young these guys are now, that have problems with erectile dysfunction or erectile dissatisfaction. It may not be working as well as it has in the past, and maybe something that's creeping up on you. And well, I'm going to tell you that the answer you are looking for is there. It's there. And you don't be embarrassed. You can just get this information in the privacy of your home. You can go into your closet with your phone or your computer and watch it there, and no one has to know you're looking. So so that's it. So today in the house, we have Jesse and Katie Ewell of Habit-Based Lifestyle. Jesse is the master coach, and the real brains is the CEO, Katie. And yeah, so I was doing my little research and kind of doing a little research up. And so before we get with this interview, Sue, the IP lawyer, wants me to read this thing. It's called a medical disclaimer. And this is not the way Sue would have written it, but she said it's okay and it works. This is information only. Consult with a proper professional before starting any program. Do not be stupid. You are responsible for your own shit. The old guy's a capitalist and not a socialist weasel. He may be promoting stuff, and if he does, he may be paid. That's the whole idea. The old guy only promotes stuff he uses. You will have different results. Without a doubt, you will have different results. And so now we got that little bit of legalese taken care of. So, Katie, Jesse, tell us a little bit about. Tell us, after all that talking, tell us a little bit about what are you guys all about? What's going on in your life? And you just had a big move recently.
Yes, we moved about a year ago. We sold our gyms in Washington, and we moved to Southern California. And we really just kind of did it to kind of leap into the coaching space. And just over the last year, we've been enjoying living here. And back in December, I launched Habit-Based Lifestyle, and Katie was a huge part of that, and has also went through all of the coaching inside of that. And then just in June, we decided to launch Marriage Bootcamp, which is a 2-day live event that we do here in Southern California. Where we bring in married couples and really just take people's marriage to the next level. So one of the things that we really are passionate about is just helping married couples. And one of the things that kind of started us in all of this was us realizing that there were some things in our marriage we had to change originally. And it wasn't that our marriage was broken. It was just we were in this place of kind of being stuck, and we didn't really know how to find our way out or work our way out. And we didn't really have anywhere to go or anybody to go to. So we kind of had to figure it out the hard way or the long way, should I say. And so, we've just created a program that we made it really simple and for people to kind of like start working on their marriage, and to make it in a way that's fun, in a way that's, enjoyable for both people.
Well, and let me chime in, because as he's speaking, I always come up with my own things. But so we were doing a podcast one day, and we were talking about Jesse's brotherhood and my sisterhood, and how it's so easy a lot of times to grow with, like Jesse with the guys and me with the girls, and we can go share things and talk about marriage problems or issues we're having with the kids or whatnot. And it was like, how do we bridge that gap? How do we grow together, as opposed to, here's Jesse rising, here I am rising. But it was always this kind of like disconnect of connection. And so it was in one of the podcasts that we were like, okay, you have your brotherhood, I have my sisterhood, and we need a marriagehood. And so really, yeah, it was just about unity, and, us knowing that we have communication breakdown. We have intimacy breakdown, and marriage. I mean, holy shit, we're 14 years in, and you think when you get married, it's all, here we go, we're getting married, we spend all this money, and there we go. But I mean, every year you pile on, whether it be work or kids, and those issues come, and it's like, how are we going to navigate these things? And we really knew, besides church or a church group or something like that, we had no other marriage groups that we were a part of or wanted to be a part of. And so we were like, let's do this. If we're willing to share what we've walked through in our 14 years, we know that we're not alone. So that's kind of, where we started. And it's been incredible.
So let me ask you, it's 2019, and what are the issues and challenges that couples face now, and how are they different or the same from what couples have faced in the past?
Well, I think one is, we have more distractions today than we've ever had. And that may be the biggest one. Is if you look, even 15 years ago, there was no iPhone.
Mhm.
There was no, you could literally, you have a computer now in the palm of your hand. So we have, with all this technology that's came along, we have way more distractions than we'd ever had before. And
Temptations.
So, so we see couples struggling with connection and communication more than ever because they're being distracted by everything else going on in their life. And I think, there's not a place for couples to kind of slow down and be like, okay, we're going to work on us. It's just life. It's like life is controlling them versus them being in control of their life.
That's good.
Yeah. Actually, you talk about all the distractions in the iPhone. I was just thinking, you guys are too young for this, but actually, I remember a time when there wasn't a Costco or a Price Club. The only choice was a supermarket to go to.
Well, and even think about this. I could say iPhone, but I could just say there wasn't social media. There wasn't your iPhone. There wasn't a lot of things that there are today. And it's only been, it's been 14 years since we were married, and it's been 15 years since we got together. But just think about, in that short amount of time, how much the world has changed just in that time. And it only takes a matter of a month or weeks or a day to get disconnected. And then the impact that has on, months, years, down the road on that has on your marriage. And then you add kids, and that just intensifies it.
Yeah, I think so often you see people at a restaurant or something, and they're both busy on their phone. And we've all done that. It's yeah, so totally, we've all done that. But you just kind of see how you get sucked in from the on that phone, because there's so many avenues to interact. You're interacting with your kids who may be somewhere else, or your family members and things like that, and that really causes people to kind of stop communicating in a very effective way when they are sitting literally right across from the table from each other.
Right. Well, it's like, what do we talk about? We text all day, or we, you know what I mean? And so, you get down and you get in this, it's almost uncomfortable. It's become a habit to get on your phone, and that makes you comfortable. So it's really fighting that uncomfortable feeling to reconnect.
Sure. And plus you get all sorts of sensory, it's like that mouse in the experiment, because you get all from tapping on those likes and everything else and getting them, you get this buzz in your brain that really makes you feel good. Right. A huge rush from that. So what are in your discussions of marriage, you talk about kind of some levels: bad, good, and great. And tell me how you see those three stages. And all of them, I think, have, well, I don't know if the bad has a good part to it, but I think all of them have challenges. And why don't you talk? I would like to hear about you. Tell us about the challenges, starting with the bad.
Yeah. So one of the things that we talk about a lot inside of Marriage Bootcamp is bad is really survival. And this is where we see a lot of couples stuck in their marriages. They're stuck in this place of survival where the number one priority is just like an animal. It's to survive. Like that's the whole purpose that they have. And so if you think about it, if you were out, hunting, or you've seen this deer in the forest, the number one thing that deer has to do is survive. And so he's willing to run, he's willing to, freeze, he's probably not willing to fight, but like those are his mechanisms. Like he's out there, he gets scared, something startles him, something comes after him. He can run away and hide and go back to eating 15 minutes later, and that stress response is gone. He's fine. But like us as human beings, we can't do that. And so really the first stage of, Marriage Bootcamp is about being in like this stage one this island one of survival. And it's where both couples, their primary purpose is, to survive and to be safe. And so we do all these crazy things. Like we fight, we run, we freeze, we do all these things inside of our relationship that mimic like animal behavior. Because when we feel like we're threatened, or when we feel like our safety's threatened, that's our automatic response to that. And, this is what's crazy is like, we find that, most couples are in this place like 75 to 80% of the time, and they're just surviving off kind of their lowest instinct.
And when I talk to women and wives, it's like you're just ships passing in the night. You're roommates. You're just getting by, like literally. It's just whatever it takes to, get to the next day or get to the next, get the kids here, get the kids there. There's disconnection. It's a really lonely place to be. And a lot of times I think couples feel alone in this place because, we don't talk about this place a lot. It's either, oh, we're fine and we'll get to that, or we're good. But it's just literally you're just surviving, surviving.
And think about this. If your primary focus is on survival, it's impossible for you to create anything different in that place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what would you say are how does that show up in terms of some specific things that might occur in a marriage that's in survival mode?
It may show up in an argument where, I may say, okay, well, let's talk. And I may be kind of that fight. That's my natural instinct. And I may start like talking loud or being aggressive, yelling. And Katie, her natural instinct may be, to run or to freeze. And so she begins to shut down because I'm not communicating, the right way. And so what ends up happening is she shuts down, I get more pissed off. And then all of a sudden we stop communicating and kind of go our own separate ways. And then we try to come back together and we either do it again, or we just kind of put it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen. And then we go on and continue to operate in life. Well, after we do this 4 or 5 times, there becomes this automatic response. And we get into this place where we no longer communicate about like real issues in life. We do whatever like comes naturally or whatever keeps us safe. And so, in that place, it's very hard for us to, create anything different.
Well, and I would say, because I feel like you're talking very scientific, but like it's sedation. It's the husband. For us, it was Jesse going to work, staying at work because he didn't want to be at home. It's loss in like intimate connection. It may be having sex, but are you really connected? It may just be going through the motions. It may be showing up to an event with family, like looking the part of the family and the husband and wife, but inside you're broken, you're sad. So those are what come to mind when I think of being in that place. It's just a complete shit show. And Yeah.
And usually in this place, you also kind of have one person that, maybe one person wants to work on something, but the other one has been, maybe emotionally beat down, or they're just tired that they don't want to actually work on the marriage.
Or they've stopped. With some of the couples we've worked with, maybe the wife or the husband is not heard. And so then they retract and they're like, I'm just not going to do that. You don't hear me. You don't listen. You don't. Yeah. So it's just this constant, basically this cycle that just continues to happen until you break through and you decide what's causing this and how are we going to get out of it.
Sure. So these, in some ways, they just kind of shut down, and even though it's not great, they've accommodated. And
yes.
it's actually amazing that people will accommodate to just about anything. I was talking to someone and said no one ever decides to live with their all their belongings in a shopping cart, but they may move out of a house into apartment, out of apartment into a car, and out of a car into the street. But they've been comfortable along the whole. They managed to kind of say, okay, this is fine, which is unfortunate. So let's talk a little bit more about the situation of the good.
Yeah. So
good marriage.
We find a lot of people are kind of stuck in this status quo of marriage, like things we're just getting by. Things aren't bad, but they're not, great. And so, what we find is people who can at least admit, hey, things are bad, they can usually move, but the person who's in this, well, my marriage is good. This place is like, this is kind of the status quo. Like we're, having conversations around the surface level of everything, and we're not really touching on going deeper. And this is where we find, a lot of the marriages today, or a lot of the couples we work with today. And I feel like it was kind of where our marriage was. It was like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. But it was like, we had to be willing to admit that, hey, we have some things that we got to work on. Otherwise, 5 years down the road, they're going to be an issue. And so, we really started kind of uncovering, things that maybe we'd held on to for years, or kind of like acted like it didn't bother us. And once they started to surface, we realized that we actually had a lot of work to do on our marriage.
Well, and a lot of times I think even when you go good, it's like when you're having a conversation and your spouse is maybe talking to you about something and you're just kind of nodding and you're like, well, okay. And as opposed to, there's a real issue there. So to me, I always think of, I'm a very visual person. So I think of like a pool and you're just floating on the top. Like you're fine, you're floating, you're doing fine. But what's underneath that? Like there are levels in marriage, in relationships that you have to dive deeper in order to create, what you want and where you want to go. And I don't know if when Jess and I first started walking through our coaching and a lot of our problems, I think it's really scary at first. And I think that's where couples are like, we're fine, because the minute we say it's not great, or, it's almost like something's wrong or something's, there's an issue there. But for us, it was really, Jesse saying, look, like, I'm not good. I don't want to be just good. I want to be great. And then it's kind of like, well, wow, like, what does that mean? And then going further and deeper.
So, also this place, I think when a couple gets here and they're like, we're good, is, one side, like maybe the man or the woman decide, hey, I want to actually start working on myself. And this is where we kind of begin to create something different. And so we go from this island of survival to now we're into this island of creation. And this is where we have to choose, like, hey, I want to start working on myself. And individually we do that. And that kind of starts to lift us out of this place of good. But first we have to recognize that we're there. And then two is we have to begin to move forward. And we think of, lots of programs we've been in where we have like this sisterhood and brotherhood. But the real issue was always coming back home and integrating that when, Katie would go away and and kind of be with her sisterhood. I would go away and be with my brotherhood. The biggest resistance was when I came home, or when we came home and tried to integrate it into our home, because she wasn't with me. I wasn't with her at these events, and we always would try to come back. And it's like, well, why won't she agree to this? Or why won't he agree to this? And, that's where we see a lot of people now is like, they're deciding, hey, I want to work on myself, and that's normal. And that's okay. But now all of a sudden we want to work on our marriage. What are we actually saying, or what are we actually admitting to if we do want to work on our marriage?
Which is really where the good is. I mean, we're just good. If you think about it too, when people hey, how are you? How's the kids? How's life? That's our natural, it's good. But then, I guess as we challenged each other, well, what would it take to be great? And a lot of times I think back to like right now, things could be good. But what if, when we challenge our couples, when we talk about sex and dates and fun, and it's like, go back to when you were dating, like, was that just good? You wouldn't be here now if that was just good. So how do we, and then it kind of sparks a little bit more inside the relationship. And you start thinking, wow, it's not always been. But again, like we talked about, kids come, things change. I mean, disconnect happens, work, all of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the whole all the things that change as you move on, and then you kind of get used to, you slip into that place that you become used to. I think that a lot of times, when you go to these classes, and we've all been to a lot of them, especially if you go by yourself, you kind of come home and your spouse will ask you, well, what happened? And you can't really explain what happened. You were there for 3 days. You're there for 3 damn days.
Yep. Oh gosh.
And you can't muster up like 20 minutes of explaining of what actually happened there.
But you're a new man. You're a new man.
Yeah.
You're a new woman,
Yeah. And I mean, you have to look at your notes.
Yep.
To be able to, like, okay, on day 1 we did this. Oh yeah, I remember that now. So it's always a challenge. So let's go talk to the great marriage.
Yeah. So one of the things that me and Katie really realized was, we worked together in our own business for 13 years. And, really I looked at, okay, well, what drives us, or what is the actual purpose of a couple? And or a married couple, it's to actually begin to co-create, not just the business, but the lifestyle, the parenting, the kids, the spirituality, intimacy, the sex, the intimacy, and being able to co-create that as a couple is where like the real power and purpose is in marriage. And I don't know if that's ever really been stressed that much, that, hey, yeah, we do live together, but we can actually co-create the lifestyle that we actually want. Mm-hmm. And that's really where we work on getting couples to that place, is where they can get past, their past issues. They can get out of this survival state. They can move past just working on themselves. And now they can begin to work on each other's relationship. And that's, really the purpose for us of marriage, and to spread this message. And not only that, but to be able to do this in 2 days at our marriage boot camp.
Yeah. Now, when you work with couples on this, what other areas of their life are impacted by becoming better as a couple?
Man, I mean, everywhere, spiritually, emotionally, with their kids, financially. I mean, people literally, and then even in business, a lot of them could never work together, and now they're actually working together, creating the lifestyle that they actually want. And so what you're seeing is, it's impossible. Like, to me, it's impossible to leave a legacy if Katie's not on the same page with me. And so we have to leave that legacy, not only financially, but every other part of it for our kids. So we're like modeling this to our kids. And, I hate to say it, but like, my parents, they were, great models as far as like, they've been married for a long time, but were they the best at teaching me about money? Were they the best at teaching me about spirituality? And there's all these things that like our parents never taught us that we actually have the ability to leave that as a legacy for our kids in their future, and they get to see what we're actually creating.
Well, yeah. And what we do too, I mean, we're all pre-programmed, childhood, our parents, we only know what our parents taught us, which then is ingrained in us. So opening that up with the couples and talking about that, like, holy cow, like that just and then them creating what they want to leave because they know that dad was drunk every night on the couch and that's not the dad they want to be, or mom always yelled and oh my gosh, I'm starting to yell like mom. How do I shift this? And with most, like the majority of our couples getting through, usually depending, I mean, we had a couple that was a year in, and then we had couples that have been married, years. But the biggest thing was a lot of times their pain, the one pain point, and once they dug deep and got after that, it opened up the doors for them to want to work on the other areas. So once they opened that up and could release that and talk about that, and maybe it was communication or something that happened that they'd never shared, and they got to release and forgive and move forward, because we know, like, you can't go forward as long as you hang on to something from the past that happened maybe 4 years ago, that you're still holding on to, but you release that and you move forward. And then it opens the door for, to work on your bodies together and trust each other and talk about, spirituality. And, we have one couple, one of the wives knew nothing about money, but her husband's a CPA. And now she's like, she wants to know as much as she can because she can trust her husband again after some things they walked through. But it just leads to another door for, another way to connect.
Mm-hmm. Sure. What makes you guys qualified to coach couples?
It's a great question.
Yeah. So I would just say this, like we have experienced many things everything that we're walking people through. But like, to me, like, I'm not claiming to be the expert, but I'm claiming to be the one who's willing to talk about their problems.
Yeah. Be honest, guide. We're there to guide. And I think for us, like whatever we are sharing or leading our couples through, we've walked through ourselves. So we're not going to claim that we have the answer to anything, but if we've walked through it and it's something maybe that shifted for us, sharing it typically opens up this conversation, especially in a marriage hood with a community of married couples, to then share more.
Yeah. And what's kind of crazy is, like, when we first started doing this, it's like, well, who am I to be able to do this? But at the same time, like, it's like we're talking from what we've experienced. We're not, making some shit up and just doing it. It's like,
well, there's no perfect marriage. Like we have struggled to this day. We go through things, but I just truly believe it takes one couple to take the leap to share what they've walked through, to guide other couples. And we're not for everyone, but oh my gosh. Just the couples that we have in the connections that we're creating, and the love and the passion we have behind it, and our own marriage, to me says, someone can say why. I say, why not?
Sure. So without going into a lot of detail, because I think there's a lot of benefit to being surprised at what happens at Marriage Bootcamp.
Yeah.
Give us a little idea give us a little taste of what happens.
Yeah.
And
usually we drive out into the middle of the ocean and then throw everybody overboard.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
And then we drive back to shore and we tell them all to swim back.
No, and then we have a dance party. There's a lot of fun. As much as there is growth, we have a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we, like, kind of the point of it is to take people into experiences to where they, maybe have like a block or an emotion that comes up, and it gives them an opportunity to see how they show up and how their spouse may show up in that situation. It gives them an opportunity to work through that, but it's like real live situations where they're faced with, hey, this is how I show up at home. And we kind of work with them and give them tools on how to actually work through that.
Which one may, I mean, it could be a workout. And, you know, we had a couple who the wife literally threw up halfway through and the husband's pushing her and they're going. And it's just, they had no idea the capacity. He was like, holy crap, like you really showed up. And that was celebrated. And then one of my favorite things we did was we did some soul gazing, and it was this connection, this intimate connection through just looking at your spouse, and that you don't have to be touching to be intimate. And that was a huge experience for all of the couples.
This is news to me.
We had guys saying that they actually enjoyed that more than sex in a way, that it was just as powerful as having sex, if not more. So like some of the things that we do is, you know, like Katie said, we take people through a physical portion of it. And the physical portion is everything that we're doing is to work together as a team. And through doing that, things begin to get exposed in your marriage. And so we get to actually like work through that with the couples in real time. And we give them the tools on how to actually do that. And then we'll do, you know, fun couples challenges where it's one couple maybe against another. And they get to kind of challenge each other and bring out the best in each other. And one of the cool things that it often does is it makes each couple realize that when they work together, how much more powerful they are as a couple versus doing it individually. And, you know, I can remember one situation that happened is one of the guys, really powerful guy, he kind of ran out in front and did his own thing. And they were way ahead of everybody else. And then he lost track of what was actually going on. And his wife wouldn't actually say anything. And so then they ended up getting beat by like 3 other couples when they were like 5 minutes ahead of everybody else. And so it was a great lesson for them that it was like, hey, if you don't step up and be a leader and let your husband know that he has to include you in the conversation and include you in the situation and the plan, that you're being left behind and he's out, you know, trying to run out ahead of everybody else and everybody else is not on the same page.
Well,
and it was a super powerful lesson.
Which was super cool too, because she had this fear of being powerful in a leader because women had called her names. And I'm like, screw that. Like, you are a leader and you are powerful. And it's not just for our husbands to lead. There's times we have to show up as the leader as well. And the one thing too, I want to say, because it was so beautiful. We create space. This incredible space is created for couples to really open up and be vulnerable and trust and share whatever is on their heart. And we had some incredible, powerful stories that were, I don't think, ever shared between couples. And for the wife to hear and see the husband share something from his childhood that she had no idea about, and then to walk through that with them was just beautiful. I mean, just beautiful.
Wonderful. So, Katie and Jesse, if somebody is interested in Marriage Bootcamp, how do they get in contact with you? And I've got I've actually had I don't know if you could see it. There's a banner with your website, but sometimes we're just going to be hearing this on audio. So, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So there's a website. It's called Join marriagebootcamp.com. We can also set it up in a link, but basically what it is people have to apply for the Marriage Bootcamp. And so once they do that, they step into a one-on-one conversation and we talk about kind of like what's going on in their marriage, why they want to come, and then whether or not they're a good fit. And I kind of decide that at that point.
We're also, I am Katie Ewell. On Instagram, Jesse's, Jesse Ewell, habit-based lifestyle. Facebook, send us a message, reach out. I mean, connect. If you have a question, oh my gosh, please message us. I love to just interact and, we can talk about if you think you're a fit or if you have any other questions, but definitely love to be just connecting.
Okay. So this is the part where Actually, I did not. I've had Jesse on the program before, so I have not. I did not do this with him, but because you mentioned vulnerability, and so this is a part where I talk to my guests about their vices and virtues.
Okay.
So I just a few questions, and so if you were to compete in an Olympic event, summer or winter, what would it be? Katie, you go first.
Oh my gosh. Softball.
Is that an Olympic event?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. You know what?
No, I don't think it is.
All right.
Soccer.
No, not soccer. Okay, how about tobogganing? Don't they have toboggans?
In winter.
Tobogganing.
I
Also
don't know.
known as
Shopping. Shopping.
Okay.
I would definitely be in the Olympic shopping team.
There you go. Jesse, what would it be for you?
I would have to say weightlifting or something in track and field.
Okay. So what kind of music do you like to listen to?
Country. Oh my God. Kane Brown.
I like country. I like rap. I like a little bit of it all. Yeah.
He likes that sexy stuff at night, like Keith Sweat and whatever.
Well, that's like R&B. But yeah.
Yeah. So if you are eating something in the closet that's bad for you, what would that be?
Sour Patch Kids.
In the closet. I would say probably ice cream sandwich.
Ice cream sandwich. And do you drink alcohol?
Oh yeah, margaritas.
that was a fast answer.
Yeah.
That was faster than the Olympic question.
They should have an Olympic event for that.
Yeah, Jesse.
I like to have alcohol every once in a while.
What do you like to drink?
Margaritas. Tequila.
Margaritas?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a country western song about that, isn't there?
There's quite a few, I think.
Yeah.
Tequila made me do it.
Yeah, or tequila makes her clothes come
off.
off.
Yeah, there's that one too.
That's the one that.
That's the one that Katie likes.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Smoke cigars?
No, I don't smoke anything anymore.
Okay.
I tried, but couldn't do it.
Okay. What would someone be surprised to know about you in terms of some deep, dark secret?
I like to cook. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Okay.
And I like to shop.
Oh God, he has more shoes than me. What's something someone would be surprised?
Well, I think both of those somebody'd be surprised about with me, but
I don't like to cook. Oh. I don't know. I lived in a frat one summer. It's a pretty big party animal. I don't know if that's surprising. Probably not.
You were a party animal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
All right. There you go. You heard it here first. Breaking news at oldguytalks.com. So, all right. Well, just for everyone again, you can find Katie and Jesse at Habit-Based Lifestyle, and you can also I'm sure there's a link there to your boot camp there, to your marriage boot camp on that site also, and they can contact you directly. You guys are fairly you can be seen on Facebook and through links through this program. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on the show and spending a little time with the old guy and discussing marriage boot camp and the difference between bad, good, and a great marriage. Because there's some important distinctions there for people to know about and know. So remember, at oldguytalks.com, it's all about creating a kick-ass life for yourself and those that you love.
Thank you.
If you are interested in creating a kick-ass life for yourself and those that you love, then become a member at oldguytalks.com and get access to the cave area, where not only do I have my interviews with doctors on cutting-edge therapies for erectile dysfunction, but I will have other things that are posted in there that will help you create that kick-ass life that you want for yourself and others. And we're going to be talking a lot about different kinds of vices and virtues. So opt in and become a member